So I heard you want to beat the Lost Sector fast. Let's get those exotics. So first, I'll explain a bit about this guide while I show you the location. Then, I'll show you the build that we're going to be using today. And finally, we'll get right into the walkthrough. So today's Lost Sector is very easy for fast clears. I recommend farming it a lot if you need the armor piece in rotation today. In this video, I'll use a class-specific build that I'll show you in a second, but a very effective universal build is in the description that all classes can use. Best part is it uses no exotics. And now that you know how to get there, let's get right into the build. For today's Lost Sector, we'll be dealing with Unstoppable and Barrier champions. With this in mind, we'll be taking advantage of my Ignition Ad Clear build on Hunter. For the weapons, we'll be using Wither Horde, a Glaive, and a Linear Fusion Rifle. Wither Horde is the first component that makes this build an ad cleared beast. The gun is truly an all-in-one, since it kills ads, champions, and bosses. It is probably the strongest exotic in the game. The Glaive is here to deal with unstoppable champions. Glaives are amazing since you can kill the champions without the use of any heavy ammo. Finally, the Linear Fusion is for ammo-efficient, safe damage on the boss and champions if needed. Now before we discuss our subclass, I'd like to explain our exotic armor and artifact mods. For our exotic, we'll be using Caliban's Hand. This exotic is the second part of the build, making it an ad clear machine. The exotic perk causes a gigantic explosion called an ignition when getting a kill with a proximity knife. Now for our artifact mods, we'll be using Flare Up and Rain of Firebolts. Rain of Firebolts gives you 2 charges of your Firebolt grenade. Flare Up, when combined with class fragments that I'll explain in a second, means that 2 Firebolts will cause a solar ignition. So you have 2 ways of activating these deadly explosions now. For our subclass, we'll obviously be on solar. For your super, you'll want Blade Barrage. We'll need Acrobat Dodge since it makes you Radiant, and we'll be using Radiant to stun anti-barrier champions with any of our 3 weapons. For your melee, we'll need Proximity Knife for Caliban's Hand, and for your grenade, use Firebolt. For your aspects, use On Your Mark and Knock 'em Down for the most fragment slots. For your fragments, you'll need Ember of Torches, Ember of Char, Ember of Eruption, and Ember of Ashes. Ember of Torches, when combined with Knock 'em Down, allows us to infinitely chain knives as long as the knife is the final blow on an enemy. This means we can infinitely cause ignitions. Ember of Char will spread Scorch to targets nearby our ignitions. Ember of Eruptions makes our ignitions much larger, and finally, Ember of Ashes makes our Scorch stacks so high with our grenades that 2 of them cause ignitions. Now for your stats, as always, you'll want 100 Resilience for 30% damage reduction, and as much Discipline as possible for grenade uptime. Now for mods, none of these are necessary, but they will help. To start, you'll want ones boosting your ammo economy. That means Special and Heavy Ammo Finder, as well as Reserve and Scavenger mods boosting your Linear. My Linear Fusion is Void, so I have Void Reserve and Void Scavenger. You'll also want Kinetic Scavenger for your Wither Horde. Finally, Grenade Kickstart will help with the Firebolt grenade uptime. And with the build out of the way, let's hop into the guide. First thing you're going to want to do when you enter this Lost Sector is deal with these 2 ads. I do that by glaving them and then throwing the Proximity Knife at them. As you can see, that causes the solar ignition. And that actually stuns the champion and does quite a bit of damage to him. Now after you do that, to actually kill the Unstoppable, we're just going to glaive him down and block when he is shooting at us. Also, you're going to want to block when you are using your melee, as that increases your melee speed. Also, after you stun him, be sure to throw your Wither Horde at him and he will die much faster. Then you're going to drop straight down. You're going to want to kill those Scions, and what I like to do is stand back a little bit more and bait the Unstoppable to me. Unfortunately, he actually stops right there. Now if you didn't know, when the Unstoppable shoots his little gun at you, he's going to start heading backwards. So you'd like to, when you drop down here, you'd like to be a little farther back so that you could deal with him one-on-one. But we were actually able to deal with him no problem. After he's dead, there's going to be a couple more ads and there is going to be an anti-barrier. So I like to just throw my Wither Horde to deal with the ads. And then once I can face the barrier one-on-one, I will proc him with my Wither Horde, and then I will actually use an Acrobat Dodge to get my anti-barrier going. Now, it doesn't look like he's quite low enough yet, so we're just going to get him low for him to put up that shield, and then we will go and use our Acrobat Dodge. Alright, we got him, so we're using the Acrobat Dodge, and as you can see, that makes us Radiant, so any of our guns are actually anti-barrier from that point on. After we deal with him, there's going to be a little bit of a hallway here. We're going to want to deal with these ads, so we are just going to use that glaive ignition combination. Now, actually, these war dogs die in one shot to the Caliban's hand, which is fantastic. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you can't actually use a powered melee when you have a glaive out, so you're going to need to switch to your Wither Horde in order to use your Caliban's hand. Now that we're in the boss room, we're going to have to deal with a few of these ads, but the main thing that we're going to try to do here is deal with the Unstoppable. After the Unstoppable is dead, we can just start doing damage to the boss. Now, typically what I would do is I would bait the Unstoppable to where I am standing right now. You see, he is just following you. But we did a bit of damage to him prior to that since we got an ignition off on one of the ads. Now, it looks like this boss is not following me. So it looks like I'm just going to end up killing him from here, which is no problem at all. It doesn't really matter how you get him. But like I said, if you just let him follow you out into that hallway, then you can just glaive him down super easily. And that is what I recommend. Yep, looks like he's just following us here. So we'll just glaive him down, take care of him really, really easily, guys. Now we're going to try to get some ad clear going, throw 2 firebolt grenades as that's going to cause those ignitions and kill all those ads. There's going to be a Scion up here. Make sure to jump up here because this is where we are going to deal with the boss. Now, there's one Incendiar and one Scion that I do like to take care of, but it doesn't matter too much. It's just kind of annoying when they're shooting at you when you're trying to get that linear damage off. So, yep, we're just going to pull out our linear and start shooting at this Colossus. But these Sirens are kind of in my way, so I'm going to cause a little ignition, and now we can just 1v1 the boss, which is fantastic. Now again, we're just using the linear, and we are strafing from left to right. In this cover, you can't really do much about that. When you can, use your Wither Horde, throw your grenades, and that's going to get you a little bit of extra damage on top of your linear. And yeah, you guys should really just be able to take care of it just like this. There's not really much that the boss can do about this combination because he can't really hit you, and you are doing quite a bit of damage there with the Wither Horde and the linear combined. And on top of that, you do have your super, so all in all, he's just kind of screwed at that point, which is fantastic. But yeah, this is one of the easiest lost sectors to farm in the game. There's only about 5 of them that are actually good, and this is one of them. So if you have this lost sector today, be sure to farm it, guys. Now before you destroy your mouse clicking off of this video to go farm with your new strats, I'd like to re-grab your attention for 10 seconds. Only 2% of you are subscribed. This is so sad. Now here's a trade offer. I give good guide, you give good sub. I post daily content on this channel. You can expect daily lost sector guides at a minimum, but I also have some very fun Destiny 2 videos planned. Either way, thanks for watching, good luck farming, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next lost sector.